need it to grow, and our veggies especially need a bit more than the rain can give us. But how much water do these things need? When should we water? And what's the role of water in plant health and disease? The best time to water is before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m. That's not just because Sydney Water says that with the water restrictions. Before 10 a.m. and after 4 p.m. ensures that we don't waste most of our water through evaporation. If you water in the middle of the day, a lot of the water that you water will automatically be evaporated into the atmosphere and thus wasting a lot of water. It also encourages more water to be wicked out of the soil, and actually you might be losing water rather than gaining water for the plants. Before watering, it's best to check the moisture level of your soil, either using your finger or a moisture meter. You can purchase a moisture meter from Bunnings for about $10, and they're a really easy and quick way to be able to tell the moisture of your soil. All you do is you stick it in at different heights, because it depends on the roots length of your plants, and it will give you a moisture reading, either dry, moist or wet. We generally water things when they're dry, or maybe on this low end of moist, but definitely don't water if they're on the high end of moist or wet. This soil is telling me high end of wet, so I definitely don't want to water it today. My moisture meter is giving me a dry reading for this bed, so I know it needs some water. But how should I water it? Always water at the base of your plant, rather than from up above. This helps reduce the water loss on the leaves and gives all the water straight to the soil. You also want to water not just at the very stem of the plant. Watering at the stem of the plant encourages diseases such as stem rot. And watering further out helps encourage the roots to grow further out so they can reach that soil. For trees, this could be 1 meter away from the tree. Another reason you want to avoid watering the leaves is to reduce the chance of disease. Fungi love water, and a lot of fungi start growing in your leaves when they start getting wet for more than a few hours. You'll see here, we have some brassicas, some Asian greens. These guys have been getting a bit too much water on their leaves. This might not just be because of watering. You can see even right now the leaves are wet just because of overnight dew. But when leaves get water for more than about 2 or 3 hours, they can develop something called white blister. White blister appears as these big spore clusters on the underside of your leaf. As it develops, you'll see yellow splotches developing on the top of the leaf as well. This kills off the leaves and reduces your crops dramatically, and these spores then burst and enter your soil and your air and start spreading to other plants. To discourage these diseases in your plants, you don't want to water in the evenings as much. Watering in the evenings puts the water on the plants, and then this water isn't able to evaporate because the sun's gone. It then stays in your plants overnight. That's much more than the 2 to 3 hours required for this disease to develop. Another disease caused by too much water on the leaves is rust. Rust is a really common disease that can affect a whole lot of different types of plants. One type of rust is garlic rust, and we've been affected by it really badly the last few years, which is why we had to stop growing garlic this year to try to prevent the rust from staying in our soil. However, a few of the other plants in the same allium family can continue to carry the rust, and we still have a few spores on our walking onions over here. You'll see the first signs of rust as a few orange spots on your garlic, onion, or leek leaves. As these develop, they become dark orange and black, and that means that the spores are starting to be released, and this is spreading into your air, your soil, and your water. It's a very hard disease to get rid of, so you want to prevent it from the first place by reducing that water on your leaves. If you do have a rust or a white blister or any other type of fungus, a good way to try to help it stop getting in your garden is crop rotation. Make sure you don't grow the same plant in the same place year after year. and waiting about 3 years between crops will allow the disease to die in the soil. A big place where people go wrong with watering is when they see yellow leaves, like here. A lot of people assume that a yellow leaf means the plant doesn't have enough water. But the problem with yellow leaves is they can be caused by too much water, too little water, or too little nutrients. And so it's a bit confusing. That's where your moisture meter really helps. The yellow leaves are caused by a lack of nitrogen in the leaves. Now, plants can get a lack of nitrogen because the soil is too dry and the nutrients can't be transported to the leaves. But they can also get a lack of nitrogen if the nitrogen in the soil is diluted with too much water. This doesn't mean just go add nitrogen, it means check your moisture meter. You can use your finger and feel how wet the soil is. You can use a moisture meter, but make sure you check before you water. Don't do the #1 cause of plant death and overwater your plants.